my name is Camille and welcome back to my palace. In this video, it's another episode of International Student Diaries. This is season 1, episode 6. In this video, I will be telling you guys about a situation that happened at the school. But before we jump into the video, I really do want to do a big disclaimer. This video is not intended to speak negatively about anybody or the institution or anything like that. I am really just sharing this video because it is my diary. I'm truly venting to you guys. It is what happened in the moment. It's how I felt. The footage is very raw. So I didn't want to like re-edit and re-record. I'd rather y'all see the real version of what it is and how I felt in the moment. And I'm hoping that sharing this experience will help others that intend to study abroad and might find themselves in a similar situation as mine. So without further ado, on to the video. Now let's talk about the school. Last week was probably one of my worst weeks here. It was not good for me at all. Where do I even start, man? I had an exam for history of fashion, and we had this class from the end of when we came back from the holidays, so the beginning of January till basically the end of this month. Today's March 31st. Yeah, so this week of a hot mess started on March the 24th, I want to say. So, and I believe that was a Monday. So that weekend prior, the 23rd, 22nd, I was studying for my history exam because the exam was on Tuesday. And there was a lot of information we learned because it was from, from that time period from history. Like it was like from the 16th century all the way to present day of history, fashion, accessories, clothing, like a lot. What happened in the time period, what wars went on. So I wanted to do well, and I knew it was a lot of information. So I did. I studied the whole weekend. She had sent out like some of the slides, and from her slides, I had like wrote notes or typed up notes, printed out my notes, rewrote my notes. Like when I tell you I was studying, like even the night before the exam, I didn't even go to bed till midnight. That next day I went to class, and testing is like verbally, like exam day is one-on-one with the professor and the translator, and they're asking you tons of questions, and we have to go through the students. And my class is 19 of us. And it was the class time was scheduled from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's 4 hours. So in 4 hours, you should be able to get through all 19 of us. 10 minutes each with the exam. If we run over 12 and a half minutes, it's the max we can do in order to get through everybody. So they like to do stuff by last name. And my last name is at the end of the alphabet, so I'm always last. I'm always waiting. Like if class is at 2 and it ends at 5, I could still be there at 7 o'clock waiting to be seen. Or, when it comes to like going over projects, exams, whatever. Like the last time before the history, we had another exam and it was supposed to end at 1 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock and I'm still sitting there, So I'm thinking like, we need to do better with time management. So basically the exam day, like we're sitting there waiting for our turn, still studying, waiting for our turn, my turn anyway, as the people go. But it was like 12. Mind you, class ended at 1 o'clock. It was 12:30-ish, and they had not even got through like half the class. So I seen the translator come out and go to the bathroom, and I guess he had went back in the room before I could notice or catch him. But I went back and I seen him in the room, the classroom, in his glass so we could see through. And I wanted to like say something to him about like the time management, because it's not fair for me to always be sitting here last, after my time. I'm not trying to be here till 3 in the afternoon when everybody else can go and do whatever they need to do. So since the doors were shut, but it was a glass room, and I'm like, oh man, he's back in the classroom. But then he ends up looking up at me. So I like take my arm. Hold on guys. I have like my watch, and so I have my arm up like this, and I'm pointing at my watch to say like, hey, it's almost 1 o'clock. Basically, I wanted him to come out so I could talk about time management, but basically he just shrugs his shoulder and is like, as if it's not his problem. So I'm just like, okay, whatever, walk away. because I still have to take my exam. Even if I have to be here at 5 o'clock, you know, I still have to take my exam. So I'm screwed. A little before 1 o'clock, he comes to me and he's just like, exam day, we're never going to get through everybody at a timely manner. It is what it is. Be prepared to wait and don't come up with the watch and pointing because it was rude and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's kind of not fair that you know, for me to have to wait. And he's like, it's impossible to get to everybody in a timely manner. It's not impossible. It's called time management. And he was like, but since you need to go so bad, you're next. So I'm like, well, I'm glad to be next, but it's not even that I have to go anywhere or anything like that. Like, I mean, yeah, I would love to have my own time, but it's not like I have to be out urgently because I got something that was planned after this. But it's just like, respect me how I respect you, basically. So I go in there to take my, so after that happened, it was a group of girls that I was sitting with at the table. And they were like, oh man, now I'm cutting the line or whatever. And I didn't want to like cut the line or make them feel like I'm cutting a line or anything like that. But my point to him was about time management, you know. I didn't want it to be like, oh, even though, because some of their turns hadn't came up yet. Like I said, they hadn't even got through half the class. So I felt bad in that sense. So I was like, I'm going to tell him when I go in there like, that I don't want to cut y'all, basically. So cut the line or whatever. So I go in there and he like immediately starts talking. Mind you, this is the translator. He immediately starts talking, like telling the teacher she was outside the window doing this about time management. You know, he was like, you know, it's very rude and disrespectful over here to do something like that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I was not trying to be rude or disrespectful. Like, that's never my intention. But it's also not fair to have to wait and then have also the classmates saying, oh, I'm cutting the line. Because they said another boy cut the line too or whatever. I said, I'm not trying to do that. Like, that's not, I don't want them to feel no type of way. I don't want you to feel no type of way. I just want y'all to respect my time as well, because it's not fair that I have to be here 2-3 times after the class. And I guess that just went over the fucking head for real. So, the teacher's like, if you have to go or something, just tell me and I'll try to squeeze you in or something like that. But it's like not about squeezing me in, it's about time management. And then she's just kind of like, let's start the exam. I think they asked me 10 times harder questions because I had made the comment about time management. I'm not sure, but I felt like it was like an interrogation segment and I felt like they were like on me. So her first thing is like, talk to me about her mess. So mind you, when I studied, I did like write about the different luxury brands and a little, you know, history on them. But my main focus was on the decades. But even still, I felt like I did well. Like, I'm like, okay, Hermes, it started with saddles because, you know, the horse riding time period, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, tell me about their iconic bags. What was their first ever iconic? I'm like, the Kelly bag. And she was like, how did the Kelly get its name? I'm like, from Grace Kelly. Like, just, I feel like I'm doing my talk. You feel me? I'm doing good. Even though I don't like, in America, we don't test this way. So it's so different for me. And it feels like an interrogation. It feels weird. And I feel like also they don't really give me time to think. Like if I be like, okay, hold on. Because some stuff I be like, I know it, just let me think. But they be right there like, answer. And if I don't answer time enough, then they'll tell me the answer. So it was kind of getting that. So it got to the point, I'm like, she was like, okay, tell me another iconic bag. Okay, the Birkin. And I was like, darn, I could not think of Jane Birkin at the time. But I'm like, yes, it's another da-da. And then she's like, well, what year did such and such come out? One of the bags, I don't know if it was the Kelly, the Birkin, or another bags by Hermes. And I'm just like, the 50s. And she's like, 47. I'm thinking like, okay, I'm still within the decades. Like, it's 10 years up. I'm 3 years off. Like, relax. Like, and then she was asking me about the 70s. And I'm like, yeah, the 70s were bright, colorful, kind of took off from hippie culture. First time in a while that men started wearing like heels again. Platforms were really big, the boots, bright colors. And she was like, tell me about the shoes and the bags. And I'm thinking like, well, didn't I just tell you about the shoes? So I'm like I said, like the platforms, the bags. And then I had the biggest brain freeze and they did not like give me time to think, in my opinion. Because I'm like, dog, I know this. I studied this decade so bad. But I could feel it being like an interrogation, or they feel like I did something wrong because of the watch. It was just kind of like throwing me off. And before I could even think, I'm like, okay, let me think. Even the translator, I think the translator was like, raffia material or something. So then I'm thinking like, oh shoot, the fur, the crochet, they use a lot of different materials, like, but it was like, let me think, like, another thing about the Hermes, her last question for Hermes for me, she was like, talk to me about Mason Martin. I can't think of the person name, a creative director there. I told her what he did, blah blah blah. Then she was like, John somebody, I cannot think right now. And that person I did not know. Like, at the time I did not know. And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, you don't know nothing? Like, but it was a lot of questions that she was asking me that I did know too. So I felt like, okay, it was up in there. Maybe I don't get an A, but I don't think they should fail me. Especially when I was waiting the 3 hours to be seen. The other people that had went ahead, they was like, oh, it was cool. Like, I did really well. And it was a lot of questions she asked me. I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But they get like, here the grading system is out of 30. So the girl, she was like, I got a 26. But she's like, I'm not going to lie. I think it's if she likes you or not. And I'm like, oh, shoot, because here I am. Nah, I went out. I don't know. So, but I'm thinking like as the exam went on, she was like, okay, you can step out. I'll call you back when I'm ready to give you your grade or whatever. So I step out and I'm thinking like, I did okay. Like I should get a B. I really don't think I should get a C, but if she gave me a C, I'd be like, okay, cool. I go, as I turn around, because I walk out the room, when I turn around, like I said, it's glass, I see the translator doing the watch motion that I had did. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I already know what type time they on. And I go back in there. When they come back, I go back in there, and the teacher, she's like, it's a 20 for me. So I'm just like, oh, she like, I know what y'all on now. Like, so me, I ain't even question nothing. It had me so hot because when she was like, it's a 20 for me, then the translator was like, instead of you worrying about the time, you should have been spending time studying. So mind you, my whole packet of notes, because I told you I typed notes, rewrote notes, handwritten notes. Like I had so many freaking notes. I stick on my packet of notes and I said I did study. And it was so unfortunate because I didn't have to do anything to get a 20. And I walked out there and I'm not going to lie, it had me emotional. So I'm like, oh my God. No, I wasn't doing all that. But the tears was just straight running out of my eye. Like I went to the grocery store after and the tears just running out. And the guy was looking up at me like, nobody asked me if I was okay or anything, but they just looking like, this girl's weird. But no, it really made me feel away because I had never got like a D. Like I never, even in undergrad, I never got a C. Like, so this D was crazy to me. And I called my aunt and she was like, they trying it. Like, they're trying it and they're going to try you, you know? But it's okay because at the end of the day, we still gonna get that degree. And at the end of the day, we still gonna level up. And at the end of the day, we still gonna be the best version of ourselves. And it's very good to have people that can like pick you up and lift you up. Cause she's not the only one. I definitely had to like call a few people, be like, yo, my goodness, this heifer gave me a D. Like, and I don't feel like I deserved it. They gave me the D because of my timing. But eventually I gotta get myself together. But literally, like, they gave me the D because of my comment about time management. But I kept like reflecting on myself and I was just like, where was I wrong at though? Like, where was I wrong? Like, it's not fair to me. Like, and you saying me saying something about time is disrespectful. No, it's disrespectful that I sit here 2-3 hours after class waiting to be seen. That's disrespectful when class is at least 3 hours or more long. But I was like, you know what? We're going to take this to the chin because it was already written. It's God's story. It ain't mine. It's his word. I'm just living in it. And I felt like this week he was trying to teach me, like, revenge is his. So I was like, I'm going to let it go. We're going to take it to the chin because at the end of the day, what's for me is never going to miss me. And my success is not going to be determined on that D. And what I told my mom, more importantly, is even though the grade may say a D, the knowledge does not. And the knowledge they can never take away from me. Like I said before, this history, we had computer graphics exam. And she gave me a B. And I think she was looking for any little thing to nitpick. But she was talking about how my page wasn't aligned right. But I had never learned that. I didn't, we never talked about alignment in the class. Like when we talked about like putting designs on bags. And my bags was cool. Like it was nothing she could say about my bags. But she talked about like the alignment, like, oh, the title, if from one page to the next, it jumps. But I had never knew how to like put it in Illustrator where everything's on the same. and she never taught that. So I felt like, how could you penalize me if you never taught that? Why the next time we have class, that's the lady lesson on how to align it? And I'm thinking to myself, why are you teaching us that now? You should have taught us that before the exam. That should have been day one of the lesson, actually. Like title alignment, page alignment. That should have been day one of the lesson. Like, and she's going to say, well, due to a lot of people not having good alignment for the exam or whatever, I'm going to show y'all how to align the paper. But Darren, you already gave us bad grades now. Like, what, like, is it me? Like, but this is the stuff I be talking about. So in my eyes, like, the knowledge, like I said, what I learned, like, because I really studied the history, we could talk about the 30s, we could talk about the 60s, we could talk about the 20s. The knowledge, they could never take it from me. The D, yeah, it may mean something in the society that we're in, but the knowledge, no, they can never take that from me. So I hope my story time was very informative, but to make it more informative, I want to do like a reflection about it. I want to share with you guys what I learned in case anybody is ever in my situation or a similar situation. So 3 things that could also help you. One, I want to say my voice matters. Even though the outcome hurts and it wasn't the outcome that I was looking for, or justice wasn't fully served, I guess you could say. Speaking up for myself really did matter. It still counts, and everybody should be their own advocate no matter what. So I don't regret at all saying like, hey, we need to work on time management. Not at all. But I will say timing and strategy on when you advocate for yourself matters a lot. Like, for instance, maybe instead of me trying to get the translator's attention by like pointing at my watch, I should have just waited when the test was completely done. And then I could have said, hey, for the following exams that we have, I would really like it if we prioritize time management because it's not right that I'm here past my time, instead of doing it in the middle while they're testing in a place where retaliation could have been done at. So always speak up for yourself, but how and when you do it matters. And then last but not least, growth doesn't always look like winning. Like, I learned knowledge is power. I spoke up for myself, and maybe it wasn't the outcome that I was looking for, but I still won. I still grew. I still learned. So yeah, don't be afraid to speak up for yourself. Don't be afraid to chase your dreams. Don't be afraid to study international. No matter where you are, challenges do come, but it's how and when we deal with them. And on that note, in the next episode, we'll see the aftermath of this video, how the translator treated me, being insulted by another student. Like, yeah, y'all, it get real. So stay tuned for the next episode. And until then, bye, guys.